this is the January meeting, January regular meeting of the Municipal Council of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal. And we're doing this meeting as a sort of a hybrid virtual meeting. There are 4 members of council present here in the chamber. Councillor Dillabaugh, myself, Deputy Mayor Deschamps, and Councillor Hunter. And Councillor Cameron sends his regrets. He's at home with the family, dealing with the family matter. Now, also present in the council chamber is the CAO of the township, Mr. Dave Grant, and attending by Zoom online with Councillor Cameron is the clerk, Rebecca Williams, the fire chief, Brian Moore, the director of operations, Gord Shaw, and our treasurer, Melanie Stubbs. And they're going to leave their videos off just to improve the quality of the streaming. Now, I'll say as well that we don't have the capability in the village of Spencerville to live stream these meetings just because of the lack of sufficient broadband service, which I'll speak about later during the mayor's report. But we are videotaping this meeting, and on Thursday or Friday or Wednesday this week, the clerk will upload this video to the township's YouTube channel so that everyone can at least watch this meeting on YouTube. Now, what that does, we're doing everything we can to be as open and transparent as possible during this second declaration of provincial emergency declared by the province a few weeks ago. And if members of the public watching this video after the meeting have questions, they can refer those questions to either members of council, myself, or to the staff, any of the staff. All of our phone numbers are available publicly and both on the township webpage, and I think a number of people have my phone number directly. But it's certainly prepared. All members of council certainly prepared to take questions from the public. So with those few opening remarks, I'm now going to call for approval of the agenda. And Deputy Mayor Deschamps, I think you have the motion.
I do. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that municipal council approves the agenda as presented.
Thank you very much. The motion to approve the agenda as presented is on the table. Is there any discussion? So hearing none, those in favor, would you please signify by raising your hands? And I declare the motion carried. And thank you very much. And so now the next item on the agenda is disclosure of pecuniary interest. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest this afternoon? And if so, what is the general nature thereof? Disclosures, please.
Not by me. Not by me.
So the chair notes that there are no disclosures of pecuniary interest, and the minutes will so reflect. And so now I'm moving on to item number 4 on the agenda, which is delegations and presentations. And we have none here this afternoon, so I'll move to item 5. Item number 5 is approval of the minutes of previous council meetings. The first being the meeting of December the 14th. Deputy Mayor, or excuse me, Councillor Hunter, I believe you have that motion.
I do. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Dillabaugh. The municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the regular meeting dated December 14th, 2020.
Thank you very much. The minutes are before the council. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes? I will deal with business arising at the next item of the agenda. So seeing no discussion of errors or omissions, I'm going to call for the motion to approve the minutes as presented. Those in favor, please signify. The motion is carried. Thank you. And the next concerns the special meeting of December the 16th. Councillor Dillabaugh. Believe you have that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by John Hunter, the municipality council receives and approves the minutes of a special meeting dated December 16th, 2020.
Motion is before the council. Are there any errors or omissions in those minutes? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Minutes are approved as circulated. And so now I have also the special meeting of January the 11th. Councillor Cameron, I believe you have that motion.
I do, yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the special meeting dated January 11th, 2021.
Thank you very much. And I have that motion now in front of me. And are there any errors or omissions in these minutes? And so seeing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor signify, please. And the motion is carried. And now I'll go to item number 6 on the agenda, which is business arising from any of those previous council meetings. Does anyone have any issues to bring forward as business arising? So I'm seeing none. And so I'm moving on then to item number 7 on the agenda. And item number 7 is the approval of various committee meeting minutes for committee meetings that were conducted since the last council meeting. And the first, 7A, is the approval of the Port Management Committee meeting minutes of November the 18th and December the 16th. Councillor Hunter, I believe you have that motion.
I do, moved by myself, second by Councillor Dillabaugh. That the municipal council received the minutes of the Port Management Committee meetings dated November 18th, 2020 and December 16th, 2020.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Those minutes are before the table. And in this case, we're receiving the minutes of the Port Management Committee for those 2 meetings. Now let me have a quick look here. First of all, are there any errors or omissions in these minutes? And then secondly, does anyone have any issues that they want to discuss from these 2 meetings? Hearing none, I'm about to call for the approval of the minutes as circulated. Those in favor?
Aye.
That motion is carried. Thank you. Those 2 sets of minutes. No, received. Now I'm at 7B on the agenda, which is to approve the minutes of the Administration Finance Committee of January the 11th. The Deputy Mayor Deschamps, I believe you have that motion.
I do. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole Administration and Finance meeting dated January 11th, 2021.
Thank you very much. The minutes are before the table. Are there any errors or omissions? Does anyone have any business arising from the Committee of the Whole meeting? And I see Councillor Cameron has his hand up. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to refer you to page 28 of the package. And what that has to do with the box on the truck number 2. Staff was going to look into seeing if that box could be removed and replaced on another vehicle. Has that been finalized yet?
So through the chair to the CAO, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have looked into that and we will bring something forth at the February 4th budget meeting. That's public works.
Did you get that answer, Councillor Cameron?
Yeah, it's going to be coming forward when?
On February 4th.
That'll be fine. Thank you.
Are there
That's
any
Mr. Mayor.
other business, is there any other business arising from those minutes? Hearing none, I'm about to call excuse me, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And so now I'm at the item 7C on the agenda, which is approval of the meeting, the Public Works Environmental Services meeting of January the 18th. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you again. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities dated January 18th, 2021.
Thank you very much. The motion is now on the floor. Are there any errors or omissions in those minutes? Hearing none. Are there any items of discussion that anyone wants to raise as a result of those minutes? Seeing none. I'm about to call the question on the minutes. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. And I'll just go back for 1 second to the minutes of the Administration and Finance Committee meeting of January the 11th. And note for the record that I believe it was that meeting that was one of the major discussions of the budget for 2021. And so we're calling that as well budget meeting number 2 of the 2021 budget cycle. And so now I'm moving then to item number 7B on the agenda, which is the Committee of the Whole Administration and Finance of January the 19th. And I think Councillor Dillabaugh, you have that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by John Hunter, that the municipality council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole Administration and Finance meeting dated January 19th, 2021.
Oh,
Sorry.
Okay, now I'm first of all, I'm going to call for errors and omissions. There are none, but I am just going to refer members to page 39 of page 151 and item number 4A, where we're beginning to talk about the council budget. And I'd just like to note for the record, although the minutes don't show it, that at the beginning of the meeting, the mayor, myself, I did make a short report on the draft United Counties of Leeds and Grenville budget. The minutes don't show that it was the mayor that made that report, and I just like that noted for the record. Now, as well, I would also like to note for the record that the motion that resulted from that discussion it reads as follows. The committee agrees to the draft 2021 council budget in principle that includes any recommended committee amendments. And I'd just like to clarify that that is not agrees in principle to the township council budget. It's the council operations expense estimates that we're talking about on that particular motion, not the council overall budget. So just for those points of clarification. Now, does anyone else have anything to bring forward from those minutes before I call the question to receive and approve those minutes? Councillor Cameron.
Yes, I'd just like to refer you to page number 43, item number 6, which it was regarding the mayor's report. There was a meeting regarding MP Barrett. I was unable to attend. I was just wondering if anyone was able to attend, and is there any information coming out of that chamber meeting?
So were any other members of council other than myself present for MP Barrett's update? You were there? Yes, I was there. So it appears that I was the only one in attendance, and MP Barrett gave a pretty comprehensive update on the number of grants and assistance that's available to small businesses throughout the riding. There were a number of questions that followed his presentation, but at that point in time, I had to leave the meeting and I wasn't in attendance for the question session. So I don't know whether that answers your question, but it was a good update.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's the best we can do. Thank you.
And I would also, since you've raised the issue, point out to council that our MPP, Minister Clark, will do an update, a Zoom conference update, courtesy of the Rockland District Chamber of Commerce. And I think the date is in February, and the invitations for that update have been circulated as well. If council members have not received it directly, I'll make sure that they get a copy of it. There is an invitation from the Rockland Chamber. So no other questions regarding the minutes of the Admin Finance Committee of January the 19th. I'm about to call the question. Those in favor of accepting those minutes? And I show the motion to be carried. Thank you very much. So now I'm moving on to item number 8 on the agenda. And item number 8 on the agenda, 8A, concerns the 2020 audit service plan for the Port of Johnstown. Councillor Hunter, I believe you have that motion.
I do. Move myself, second by Councillor Dilba. The municipal council receives and approves the 2020 audit service plan as outlined by MNP LLP Chartered Accountants for the Port of Johnstown as recommended by the Port Management Committee.
Thank you very much. Now, motion is on the table. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. So the auditor has circulated his audit planning letter and his audit service plan. And the audit of the 2020 financial statements of the Port of Johnstown will get underway shortly. I'm now turning to item 8B on the agenda, which is council response to the municipal auditor. And Deputy Mayor Deschamps, I believe you have that motion.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter. The municipal council authorizes the mayor to sign the drafted response letter to the auditors as a requirement of the annual audit, as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Administration and Finance.
Thank you very much. So the draft letter has been circulated. There'll be a few minor edits and changes, but this is councilor's authorization to respond to the auditor's audit plan. So discussion, if any? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And so now with the approval of that motion, I will sign the letter to the auditor answering the questions, the standard questions that the auditor asks of council as he begins his audit. And just for the record, and since this is a public meeting, point out to the public that the auditor is responsible for expressing an opinion on the financial statements, which are the responsibility of management. That's the treasurer through the committee. And so the auditor expresses an opinion, but it is the council's responsibility and management's responsibility to have processes in place to guard and protect against fraud within the organization. And so we're responding to the auditor that we do have policies and programs in place to detect and guard against fraud. So I'm moving number 8 to item 8C on the agenda, which is the high interest savings account interest. And Councillor Hunter, I believe you have that motion.
Move myself, second by Councillor Dilba. The municipal council directs the treasurer to transfer the HISA account balance of $2,147,716.99 plus any additional interest earned in January into the Royal Bank Consolidated Reserve Account to earn interest at the rate of 0.70% as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Administration and Finance.
Thank you very much. And just by way of explanation, the township does have considerable financial resources that are invested with an objective of earning return on reserves. But the interest on GICs, guaranteed investment certificates, is reduced drastically from our 2% and 3% and 4% that we were able to garner in the last few years. And the Royal Bank now is paying us as much for money left in our accounts as we would gain from a GIC. So that's the objective of this motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those as recommended by the Admin Finance, those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. We have other GICs maturing, and unfortunately, we will be forced to accept lower interest on those funds as they mature. So I'm moving now to 8D on the agenda, which is minutes of settlement for Ingredient Canada. Councillor Dillabaugh, I believe you have that motion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Hunter. The Municipality Council approves and accepts the minutes of settlement for 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020 taxation years for roll number 0701-002-005-58300-0000 and refunds the property owner accordingly, and directs the treasurer to transfer funds required to offset this write-off from the tax write-off reserve 01-3512, as recommended by the Committee of the Whole and Administration of Finance.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Now, is there discussion of any here? Hearing no discussion, I'm about to call the question directly. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And so this is an appeal of assessment that was originated back in 2017. That's just come to resolution now through minutes of settlement requiring refund to the taxpayer. And I'm turning now then to item number 8E on the agenda, which is the disposal of a surplus vehicle. Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Councillor Dillabaugh, that municipal council declare van 1 from the fire department as surplus to the needs of the township and direct staff to dispose of the vehicle through public auction as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities.
Thank you very much. Motion is on the floor, and just before I call the question, I'm just going to ask if the fire chief, through the CAO, if the fire chief would just give us the vintage of that vehicle. What is the year of van 1 to the CAO, please?
Chief, can you relay that, the year of the make and model of that?
Certainly, the vehicle is a 1996 GMC Top Kick.
Thank you very much, Chief. So just note that for the record. And so the motion is on the floor now to that we're declaring it surplus and disposing of it by public auction. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I vote to call the question. Those in favor? Motion is carried. 1996, so let's see, that's 24 years we've had that vehicle, Chief. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So I think that's pretty good service. So now I'm moving to item number 8F on the agenda, which is the 2020 annual water reports. Councillor Hunter, I believe you have that motion.
Move myself, second by Councillor Dillabaugh, that municipal council 1 received the 2020 annual water report for Cardinal Water System and Edwardsburg Distribution System. And 2, direct staff to post the annual water reports to the township website. And 3, direct staff to notify users of the systems via social media and newspaper of the report availability as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities.
Thank you very much. And the motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any. And hearing no discussion, I'm going to call the question first. Those in favor? And the motion is carried. And let me just say, because this is a public meeting, that although the reports will be posted to the township website, I think they're also available through the township offices or the environmental services offices as well. And we approve those, we receive and approve those reports on an annual basis as required by legislation. And so now I'm at item number 8G on the agenda, which is the Port of Johnstown 2020 year-end review. Councillor Cameron. I believe
Yes, thank you again. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh, that municipal council receives the Port of Johnstown 2020 year-end review report. And it's also one of the better reports I've seen.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cameron. This report was reviewed at the Port Management Committee last week. Discussion, if any. Councillor or Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Yeah, if I may, with respect to such a big and valuable document as the year-end review, receiving it in such short notice and as what it was, and then be expected to review it and discuss it at length during a port meeting, immediately after. I struggled with that from a procedural standpoint. So I think next time or for next year, it might be expedient to have it a little bit more in advance so that council can have a really good full review of that report before.
Comments are noted. Just point out that the Port General Manager can't commence the construction of his report until he has received the internal report on the financial results, which he doesn't get from his finance manager. I think that's Ron Code. He doesn't get that from her till on or around about the 10th or the 15th of the month. And then he was able to get us this report. I think it's dated January the 20th. So he does a lot of anticipation to get that report to us. And then as soon as he completes that report, he's well into his preparation of his 2021 budget. So the report is available and it's his review of what happened. It's his review of what happened, and basically he's summarizing his year's activity, which, we get a full update every month through our Port Management Committee meetings. So I'm about to call the question on receiving the report. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And where am I here? So now I think I'm at item number 8H on the agenda, and 8H deals with the 2021 census data collection. And Deputy Mayor Deschamps, I think you have that motion.
I do. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter. Whereas the next census of population will take place in May of 2021. And whereas the census information collected is used to make informed decisions about your community, province, and country as a whole, for planning schools, hospitals, emergency services, roads, public transportation, employment training. And whereas the census information collected can have a direct impact on every family, business, and community within the township, Now therefore be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the township of Edwardsburg Cardinal supports the 2021 census and encourages all residents to complete their census questionnaire online at www.census.gc.ca.
And thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. And we've been asked to give our political support to the collection of the 2021 census. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, about to call the question on the motion. Those in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm at item number 9 on the agenda, which is receipt of the correspondence packages. And Councillor Hunter, I believe you have that motion.
I do. Move by myself, second by Councillor Dilbaugh. The municipal council received correspondence listings for the following dates as previously circulated. December 17th, 2020, January 8th, 2021, January 14th, 2021, January 22nd, 2021.
Thank you very much. And just by way of explanation, all letters and correspondence directed to the township, to the council, or to the mayor and council are compiled into a correspondence package and circulated to all members of council. And any member of council can bring any document or any piece of correspondence forward for additional attention at a council or a committee meeting. And so we've got 4 packages in front of us that have been previously circulated. Questions, if any? Hearing none. About to call the question to receive the packages, formally receive the packages. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Now I'm moving to item number 10 on the agenda, which is approval of municipal disbursements. And Councillor Cameron, I believe you have that motion.
I do, Mr. Mayor, thank you. And it's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dilbaugh that municipal council approves the payment of municipal invoices circulated and dated as follows. Report dated December 15th, 2020-143, $1,576, 174.02. Report dated December 17th, 2020-144, $333,401.47. Report dated December 24th, 2020-145, $156,827.19. Report dated January 6th, 2020-147, $169,576.03. Report dated January 15th, 2020-151, $35,989.12. Report dated January 18th, 2020-153, $247,482.92. Report dated January 20th, 2020-155, $204,455.445. Report dated January 22nd, 2020-157, $91,532.20 for a total of $2,815,438.40.
So thank you very much. And does someone have the motion? Maybe Councillor Dilbaugh, do you have the motion?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. So I have the motion in front of me now. The disbursement sheets were circulated with the agenda package. And every member of council has an opportunity to raise any questions in the intervening period between the time they're circulated and this meeting. But does anybody have any other questions that they'd like to raise with regard to these disbursement sheets? And this is the final check. I'm sure, final review is the proper word. This is the final review before the checks are signed and released. Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a couple of questions to the CEO before in the next few days. It's on page 126. Service equipment, hydraulic hose, truck bond.
What's the name of the supplier? I'm on page 126.
Yeah,
What's the name of the supplier?
this service
Service equipment?
Yeah.
And which one down? Truck five?
CS 47985 is a PO.
Yeah, C7.
I just, it's a truck number 5, hydraulic hose 175. And if you go to page 127, ET performance, truck 7, hydraulic hose. It seems like it's back to back.
Well, again, it's truck 5, right? T5?
Right. Yeah, and 2 hydraulic hoses, or I guess hydraulic hose, hydraulic line. Just something I'd like to clarify.
So if the CAO would perhaps provide us with copies of those invoices, it does seem strange that we would have a hydraulic line replaced on, of course, we don't get dates here. One hydraulic line replaced by service equipment. And then some point later, another hydraulic line replaced by ET performance.
We'll, the mayor will, we'll do some follow-up and we'll advise council.
Thank you very much. Another question?
Yes, I do. On page 135, Altamire, card lock system, 14,464. That's the one that we put in at Pittston store, or Pittston, the card lock system that we installed. I didn't think it was that high.
Through the chair to the CAO.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I have that page reference again? Sorry.
Page 135, Ultramar. Just 4 up from the bottom.
Mayor, I believe that is the card lock system that went in place in Pittston and Cardinal. But I'll confirm that.
I didn't think it was that high. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions with the disbursement sheets? Okay, so hearing none, I'm about to call the questions to approve the disbursement sheets. Those in favor, please signify. Motion is carried. Thank you. And so that takes me to the end of the disbursement sheets, and now I'm at item number 11 on the agenda. And item number 11 on the agenda is the bylaws. And I think, just give me a minute, I think we have one bylaw before us tonight. And that's the bylaw to set the 2021 Cardinal water and wastewater rates. And Councillor Dillabaugh, I believe you have that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by John Hunter, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to amend bylaw 2013-69 to impose water and wastewater rates for users of Cardinal water and wastewater system. And this shall constitute the first and second reading thereof.
And the motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing no Councillor Cameron, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to be clear that there is no change in the current water rate. This is only refers to the levy that's going to be applied at the beginning of February. Could I just get confirmation on that, please?
I think I can confirm that as the chair of the committee and having followed this through. Yes, you're correct.
Thank you.
And I'm going to go just a little bit further with that and point out that council deems it necessary to impose this levy on both the Cardinal water system and the Cardinal wastewater system in order to build up the reserves for those two systems, because we're at the point where we must replace the underground sewer and water pipes, the infrastructure along County Road 2, which are beginning to fail and causing us considerable breakages over each annual budget. And we have attempted on 4 different occasions to get grants for this major undertaking. And as of this point, our application for grants have not been successful. So unfortunately, the users of the system are responsible for the system, and these levies are necessary. I'm about to call the question on first and second reading of the bylaw. Those in favor, please signify. So now I see 5 hands. So the motion for first and second reading is accepted unanimously, carried unanimously. And so I'll call then for Councillor Dillabaugh to proceed to third reading. Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by John Hunter, that the bylaw to amend bylaw 2013-69 to impose water and wastewater rates for the users. Cardinal water and wastewater system be now read the third time and finally passed and number 2021-03.
Thank you very much. Third reading on the bylaw, discussion if any. Hearing none, about to call a question on third reading. Those in favor? Councillor Dillabaugh. And, okay.
Sorry,
And
sorry.
or maybe you wanted to, I should have called for opposed, any, but in favor. All right. Those in favor, the chair declares the motion carried. Thank you. And so the bylaw has received first, second, and third reading. Now we'll move then to item number 12 on the agenda. And item number 12 on the agenda is the CAO's report. And it will be followed by a motion. And I don't know, Councillor Hunter, you will have that motion at the appropriate time. And so I'm going to now then ask the CAO if he would highlight his administrative update on beginning on page 146 of the agenda pack. The CAO, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On page 146, I want to highlight that the severance at 32 David Street were conditionally approved by the counties on January 7th. The last day for appeal is February 1st. With respect to the 2021 community grants and donations, there are fillable PDF forms now available on the township website. And just a reminder of those that were successful in 2020 are reminded to submit their financial evaluations form to be eligible for the 2021 program. With respect to the commuter pilot project, the committee has met. A short survey has been sent out to a number of businesses. The timeline for response is by Wednesday, January 27th at 8 p.m. We hope to have a draft in front of individual councils that first week of February. Also, just a reminder with respect to QP negotiations, they're set for February 1st, 3rd, and 4th. Did update council and senior management with respect to the community safety and well-being plan. It's being coordinated through the United Counties and will be implemented locally. And the timeline for that completion is July 1st, 2021. Under the building, there were 165 building permits issued in 2020. Bylaw, second round of public education material throughout the community with respect to winter parking restrictions was done in December. During January thus far, there have been 20 winter parking infraction tickets issued. On page 147 is on upcoming meetings. At our last budget meeting, my error, I forgot to have us set a budget meeting number 5. So I'm proposing potentially Thursday, February 18th as a suggested date.
Did you want to deal with that issue right now, Deputy or CAO?
I would appreciate that, Mr. Mayor, if we could set the date for budget meeting number 5. That would be appreciated.
Okay, so it's the date, the suggested date was circulated in your report. Everybody's had a chance to check their calendars, and I think that you're suggesting February the 18th
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
for budget meeting number 5, but not at the usual time, 6:30. Is that what's being suggested?
Yes, at the 6:30 time slot.
Does everybody's had a chance to review their calendars? Are there any problems with that date? I see shaking of heads indicating no problems with that date.
As long as it's 6:30, I have a recreation meeting. That's morning, early afternoon.
Okay, so I'm getting a consensus that 6:30 on February the 18th would be a good date to schedule in 2021 budget meeting number 5. So we've got that in our calendars. Thank you very much, and you can move on with your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Under Treasury, just want to report that the 2020 financial report with respect to the OCIF funding has been submitted. It was submitted on January 19th. With respect to facilities and recreation, both ice surfaces have been removed. Just a note that when the province restrictions allow, you may want to consider reinstalling the ice at the Medion Center, as the facilities manager has received a number of requests with respect to spring ice, if and when it's available. Just another note under facilities is that we continue with the first and third Thursdays of the COVID-19 test center at the community center. Under operations, public works, just a note that staff have removed approximately 80 loads of snow from the downtowns of Spencerville and Cardinal. Under operations, environmental services, note at the Cardinal wastewater treatment plant, the UVs were replaced on the system in January. And they're working away at the annual calibrations. Very similar to the water treatment plant, annual calibrations of the flow meter and level transmitters are underway. With respect to the distribution systems, the semi-annual lead testing has been completed for this period. Operations, municipal drains, Robinson Consultants, United Counties and Township, and on January 20th, to finalize the basic concept design for the outlet and establish those transition points of responsibility with respect to the United Counties project and the municipal drain project. So we have received a partial preliminary engineered report, and we expect that we will receive sort of a full preliminary engineer's report in February. With respect to fire department, on page 149, just that borehole testing and soil samples have been completed at the old arena site by St. Lawrence Testing in order to complete the geotechnical and environmental reports. Fire prevention, multiple inspections and have been received for multi-unit residences in the Cardinal. I guess on the emergency management front, that we've submitted our 2020 compliance, and the sector field officer has reviewed and passed on to management for final approval. That, Mr. Mayor, concludes the highlights of the administrative update.
Thank you very much, Mr. CAO, and I'm going to turn the questions over to members of council now. Councilor Dilaba.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. CEO, the commuter pilot project, is that the project that we're working with Brockville for the bus group? Yes, no?
Through the mayor, yes, that is correct. We're working with Brockville, Augusta,
Right.
Cameron, Prescott.
And it says the group has met, what group?
So that would be the CAOs for Brockville, Prescott, Augusta. And
Okay, so that's our group.
that is the initial group in putting this application together.
And you're going around looking, talking to the businesses, is that right?
So we have submitted a survey to the local business.
Good, thank you. Very interested in that program. Thank you.
I think that project is coming from Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus. I can't remember the name of that committee.
Correct, and the Eastern Ontario Leadership Council.
Eastern Ontario
Yes.
Leaders.
Thank you. That's all I have on that one. Thank you.
And any other questions of the CAO? Councillor Hunter?
Take it our negotiations probably all on Zoom.
To the mayor, it will be on Zoom.
Awkward way to negotiate.
Yes, sir.
On Zoom here, listening to it.
We'll have you either in a separate room or we'll have you back here as the resource. The two members, which are Councilor Hunter and Deputy Mayor.
Very much. Further additional questions, if any, before I have a few? Go ahead.
Under facilities here and there. We have had layoffs of full-time staff. I assume all the part-time staff have been laid off too.
To the best of my knowledge, there may only be one part-time remaining to do some scheduling.
That it, Councilor? And Deputy Mayor passes. I just have a few questions of my own. First of all, I just wanted to say that on page 146, I am looking forward to the report on the vacant and abandoned buildings that will be coming to the Admin Finance Committee meeting in February. I know that the building department has been very busy, issuing 165 building permits over the year, with all of the reviews and inspections that are required. That certainly is a busy season. But now I want to go to our next point, which is also on page 146. The bylaw enforcement officer is currently issued 20 winter parking infraction tickets for the month of January. EMCPA, and I've forgotten what EMCPA stands for.
Mr. Mayor, that is the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act.
Continues to be submitted as per the Ministry of the Solicitor General's new restrictions and requirements. Now, is that the act which empowers our bylaw enforcement officer to enforce certain orders under the COVID restraint system?
Mr. Mayor, that would be the act that would govern that.
Okay, and my understanding is that at the present time, the council of the township has declined to offer the services of our bylaw enforcement officer for that purpose because of a request from the Ontario Provincial Police. They would prefer to do that enforcement with their own resources. Is that still a correct understanding?
Mr. Mayor, yeah, the OPP is lead on that, and if they need additional resources, that they would reach out and touch base with us.
And as of this point in time, they have not done so.
As of this time, they have not reached out.
Thank you very much. And so then I'm moving on to just try to get a better understanding. And I'm on page 148 now when we're talking about the engineer's report for the County Road 2 drain. I don't understand the concept of establishing the transition points of responsibility. can you just explain that concept to me so that I get an idea of what was being discussed at that meeting?
Certainly, I will do my best with respect to that. So one of the requirements of the drainage engineer is to secure an outlet. And one of the outlets actually passes through where the counties will be doing upgrades in and around the rail overpass. So instead of duplicating work, trying to coordinate where the county project sort of delineate that delineation ends and where the consultants for the municipal drain work would begin again.
Ah, I've got you.
It's in that transition point.
Okay, so now can I just get the concept in my head? The municipal drain would, as the water flows towards the river, the municipal drain would transition to a county outlet at the beginning of the road network. And the water would flow through the county drain, through the county outlet, and then become again the responsibility of the municipal drain from that point? Or is there just one transition that takes place whenever the water enters the county drain?
So, Mr. Mayor, there would be a couple transitions. So
Oh.
if for instance, I'm drawing the blank net right now, but if, for instance, that the municipal drain crossed Newport Drive, for instance, within our right of way, actually, that's fully our responsibility for maintaining. So that part would transition from the users of the drain back to the township, and then once it passes through there, it goes back to the municipal drain portion, so to speak, and then once again, it would transition at the United Counties at the County Road 2 right of way until that County Road 2 right of way ends.
Okay, and so now do we have a high level of confidence that the engineer will present the preliminary engineers report in February?
Mr. Mayor, I have, it's probably a higher probability than not, but I'm, 55, 45%.
Oh, that's good. Thank you very much. And then one last question, which comes on page 149, and we haven't heard too much about this, but on the county fire services study. And this has been, we know that the fire chiefs have been meeting regularly on this county fire services study, but we haven't heard much about how the discussions are going. Are you at liberty to give us any kind of a feeling as to how the discussions are going?
Mr. Mayor, I prefer not to give an update right at this time, but I do know that the fire chiefs and the steering committee will be meeting on Friday. So hopefully within the next week or two, might be able to give you a little better landscape.
Okay, I think we'll leave it at that, but let me just indicate that one of my concerns is the potential, and it's only a potentiality, is the potential that this ongoing study, depending on how it comes about, may have a detrimental effect on departmental morale. And so that's just a concern, but let's wait and see what the study indicates. And if has that discussion raised any other questions for council? If not, I'm going to ask Councillor Hunter to bring forth his motion to receive the CAO's administrative report. Administrative update. Councillor Hunter.
Moved Michelle, second by Councillor Dilbaugh. Municipal Council received the CAO's administration report as presented. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, and so that's the CAO's administrative update. Number 13 is council inquiries or notices of motion. Are there any notices of motion to be brought forward? Councilor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd just like to thank the staff and the council for changing the meeting for today from 2 p.m. to 6:30. Help me out, I appreciate it very much. And second is I'd like to thank staff for County Road 44 getting bus signs up. Be prepared to stop on 44 in both directions. Thanks very much for it. I appreciate it very much, and so does two parents who are on that corner. I went to visit them. Thanks very much again. So.
Thank you very much. Any other notices of motion of council inquiries? And I just, again, just bring one notice of motion forward. And I'm going to be very vague about it, but just to signal to council that at the appropriate point in time, I will be bringing forward a motion to appoint a realtor to assist us if we're successful in our negotiations with Infrastructure Ontario. So that, if there are no other council inquiries or notices of motion, I'm going to item number 14. Okay, Councilor Hunter.
I just make notice that I'm not bringing a notice of motion forward now, but at an appropriate time, as soon as our council would be able to be open to the public to be at our meetings, we're bringing a notice of motion forward that we do away with the ward system. That Cardinal will go to an election for
2022.
2022 election.
Fair enough. And that's a significant notice of motion. I hope the public understands that. And you'll be bringing that motion forward when we're back in, we're able for the public to attend. Thank you very much. Any other notices of motion? Hearing none. Okay, I'm now proceeding then to item number 14 on the agenda, which is the mayor's report. And I do have several things to report on because this is a public meeting. So first of all, with regard to Terrapine Farms, which is located at 3209 County Road number 2, council is aware that those folks have signed and sent council a correspondence indicating that they will be applying for a license to grow and process marijuana products. But I want to also indicate that I have a private company that's looking for warehouse space. And since that building is empty, and since Terrapine Farms is not, has indicated to us that they're not applying for their licenses until July the 1st. And of course, even if they apply on July the 1st, it will be quite some period of time before they get a response. But I did refer to the company that's looking for warehouse space to them. Item number 2, I just want to recognize, as we dealt with on the Port of Johnstown year-end review, that there has been a very successful year at the Port of Johnstown. And I just want to highlight a few of the, I'm going to highlight a few of the things that we learned from that report. So first of all, the total cargo processed in 2020 totaled 1,280,000 metric tons. And that's the third highest tonnage processed on record for the port. Now, cargo over the docks included 508,000 metric tons of salt, 235 metric tons of grain, 27 metric tons of stone, 18,285 metric tons of calcium chloride, and 4,088 metric tons of brake bulk, for a total over the docks of 795,000 metric tons. There were a total of 44 vessels that visited the port in 2020, and other cargo processed arrives and departs by rail and truck. On the financials of the port grossed revenue of $8,517,000, which is the highest gross revenue on record. Capital projects for the year included $4,216,000, which includes some grant contributions from the National Trade Corridor Fund, which was previously negotiated. The largest capital project by far is the loading spout replacement project, which will come close and probably exceed $10 million, all said and all done. And this is a major reinvestment in port infrastructure as we seek to keep the aging facility updated and provide improved services to our customers. And the port contribution to taxpayers during 2020, the Port of Johnstown transferred a total of $800,715 to the township. $769,715 was used to defray tax increases to all taxpayers and represents about a 15% tax saving for our taxpayers. And $31,000 was used to directly support interest payments on the ingredient center. So a very successful year at Port of Johnstown. I want to as well, the next item, indicate to council and the public that we do have some worries about our natural gas extension and expansion project, which is the County Road 2 extension project, County Road 2 Spencerville. And let me just say that the money that the province has put up, $130 million or so, has been heavily oversubscribed. Last thing I want, or not the last, but one of the things I also want to recognize is the EORN Gig Up, Gig Down project. And I want to recognize that because there is tremendous misunderstanding, as I learned from a meeting that I was on yesterday, about EORN's involvement in that project. So just to recap, EORN is certainly still very interested in delivering this regional project throughout the entire 13 counties of Eastern Ontario. And they have the technical requirements nailed down. They know what the project must do and what it must consist of. And unfortunately, they're in the position that there is a provincial program called ICON and a federal program called the Broadband Fund, which those two projects do not mesh at the present time. And EORN has been told that regional projects do not qualify for funding under the federal broadband fund. And that EORN would be ineligible to apply to that fund. So for folks that have some sort of a connection to the federal government, if you want to see a project done on a regional basis that would bring broadband services gig up, gig down, the pressure point would certainly be the federal government. We know that RMP Barrett is totally on side here, but the problem seems to be the way the broadband fund criteria has been established at the federal level. Next, I want to report briefly on the meeting that the deputy mayor and I held along with the CAO, Mr. Grant, with Minister Sarkaria just a few hours ago during the Roma conference delegations. And let me just be brief and say that Minister Sarkaria indicates that there has been some delay at the provincial end due to the COVID problems, and we certainly understand that. But we did want to express to the minister our continuing interest in the job site challenge and tell him that we're still hope that the province is committed to the project. And we did ask him if he could tell us what the next steps would be. So very pleased to report that the minister has indicated that the province will soon announce the top 10 submissions. And he indicates that we have a very good submission and we have a great site. And while he's not at liberty to give away anything prior to the announcement date, I do have a high level of confidence that we will be in the top 10. Now, he also announced or informed us that they will soon appoint their job site selector. And once the job site selector is selected, he or she will meet beginning around the beginning of February with all of the top 10 contenders. Now, assuming or hoping that we may be one of the top 10 contenders, we must now turn our attention to the things that we would want to present to the job site selector as he meets with each of the candidates to review the favorable attributes of their sites. And I think we'll have to turn our mind to that because it certainly our preparations will for such important meetings will require some time and thinking and some strategy. So that's a report on the meeting with the minister. I also want to report just quickly on the initiative by PharmaSave. The principal's name is Mr. Evan Steed. PharmaSave hopes to get their Spencerville drugstore up and running as early as Tuesday, February the 15th, which is the day after the holiday. Now, the door has seemed to be closed as to the installation of a Royal Bank ATM machine. And unfortunately, that's a battle that we lost. But the owners of the drugstore are searching for a private company that runs ATM machines, and they do hope to have something in the lobby. So that concludes the mayor's report. And I believe that Deputy Mayor Deschamps, you have the motion to receive the mayor's report.
I do, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that municipal council receives the mayor's report as presented.
Thank you very much. Discussion, questions, if any? Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You said that they're gonna announce the top 10 soon. Definition of soon, I'm not too sure. And then you said we're gonna have a new job site selector soon. And we're gonna meet with them in February if we're choosing.
No, I didn't say we were going to meet with them in February. I said that the selector
Selector will meet in February.
start meeting in February.
Okay. So we should expect next month we're gonna hear if we're selected then. Is that what you're saying?
No, what the minister explained to us is that the minister was going to begin meeting with the top 10 finalists soon after he's appointed, and that will be the next step in the evaluation process, which will last from the time it starts until along or around about Canada Day. So that'll be about a 5 to 6 months. It'll drag beyond Canada Day. It'll be a roughly a 5 or 6 month process as they seek to determine which 3 of those 10 sites are the most suitable.
Thank you. Verify.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Thank you very much for the question. Appreciate it. Okay, so any other questions or discussion resulting from the mayor's report? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question to receive the mayor's report. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And for those watching, this is a question period, but unfortunately we have no one in the council chambers, no one in the council chambers to ask questions due to COVID. And as I indicated at the beginning of the meeting, if anybody viewing this meeting through the YouTube channel has questions, you're welcome to direct them to any member of council, myself, or to the staff. Now, moving beyond that, at item number 16 on the agenda, we do have a closed session, which will begin just after we pass the motion to go into the closed session. And then we will have a period of time just while staff makes the necessary adjustments. And following the closed session, which I have no idea how it will last, how long it will last, but following the closed session, the council will arise then in open session again, and I will report out from the closed session. So, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Hunter, you have the motion to go into the closed session.
Move myself, second by Councillor Dilba. Municipal council proceeds into closed session at 3:15 in order to address a matter pertaining to one, section 2392B, personal matters about an identified individual, including municipality or local board employees, specifically building, fire, recreation, and administration. 2, section 2392C, proposed or pending acquisition or disposal of land by the municipality or local board, specifically industrial land. 3, section 2392I, trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which if disclosed could reasonably be expected to prejudice significant the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organizations, specifically industrial business.
Thank you very much. The motion to go into closed session is on the floor. Those in favor? The motion is carried. And so we'll adjourn temporarily, or just for a few moments while the staff makes the necessary adjustment. GAO.
Can we unmute?
Hold for a second though, before you start.
We good?
We're good, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Hunter then is gonna bring forward the motion to arise from the closed session.
Move myself, second by Councillor Dilba, the closed meeting of the municipal council that is now adjourned and the opening meeting that is now resumed at 4:34 p.m.
Thank you very much. That motion is on the table. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And so now I'm going to report out from the closed session and indicate that the council met in closed session and we discussed issues of succession planning and priorities for staffing with the CAO. And then we also discussed matters relating to the acquisition and disposition of land by the municipality, and as well brought council up to speed on a number of items which were regarding trade secrets, scientific or technical, commercial or financial information which has been supplied to the municipal council in confidence, specifically as it related to BBL Energy. So that's the report out of the closed session. And now I'm looking for the confirmatory bylaw. And Councillor Cameron, I believe you have the confirmatory bylaw.
I do. And it's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh that a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution be now passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2021-04.
Motion is on the floor. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And then last of all, the adjournment, Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by John Hunter. The municipality council does now adjourn at 4:36 p.m.
Thank you very much. And those in favor? Motion is carried. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.